And you mentioned the word vision and focusing on the vision and imagination and how do we use that. So I think this would be the perfect opportunity to share those states of consciousness, because one of them in particular, I used vision to create my dream life. And I want to share how I did that. But it is within the context of these states of consciousness. So I mentioned the state of consciousness where I sort of started from. I call it the programmed will. Will meaning your will, and it's where you're kind of functioning from a conditioned place, a pre-programmed place, and we all receive programming starting in the womb, from the environment, from our parents, from our school, from the media, from our culture. And we don't realize it when we're growing up, how much imprinting and how much is imposed onto us and how much that affects our belief system, our mindset, and our choices, which if we're in that state of consciousness, most of our decision making is unconscious and habitual. And in that way, we are disempowered. And a lot of times we feel like a victim and it feels like life is happening to us. So that's the state of consciousness we want to move out of. And then that leaves us with these three amazing states of consciousness. When we're ready to move out of that disempowered state and start becoming the CEO of our life, starting to, as you and I described, starting to do our inner work, starting to make choices about what we're going to focus on in our mindset. I call that the my will consciousness, where we are making the decisions. We are deciding what we want, what direction we want to go. And we're taking steps. I like to call them yes action steps, because hopefully it's a step you want to take. And hopefully it's a step that's aligned with your heart. But this is a phase where or a state of being where we start to feel more empowered, like we're deciding, we're focusing, we're moving in the direction we want to go. But in that state, it can still be a little limiting because it's usually done with your own strength, your own timing, your own resources, and your own intellect. And that can get a little tiring. And that's where maybe a lot of people still are. They're in the my will state. They're trying to do everything by their own means, by their own will, by their own power. And that is limiting. When we realize there's more capacity within us and more support around us, and we start tapping into that by, there's many ways to do that, but I'll say by using the principles, the foundational principles of yoga that I share, you start to move into another state of consciousness where you're really making that connection to your higher self and to the higher power. And then you're in a glorious state of being where you feel that it's not just you creating, it actually becomes a co-creation between you and the universe. And I think you mentioned synchronicity. The word synchronicity starts to happen when you're in that state of being. And I call it the my and thy will. It's you know what you want, and the universe is conspiring with you like a dance to work with you to co-create, to manifest. And anybody in the audience who knows about manifesting, then you know about this state of being. It's a co-creative state. And it's exciting because all of a sudden you're not limited to your own intellect, to your own bank account, to your own resources. You have the unlimited power of the universe. That is what yoga really is about, is linking up with that universal force. So in that state, again, I call it my and thy will. And when I learned about that state, I learned about manifesting. So I created a vision board. I actually had 9 vision boards. My teacher made a meditation blueprint for me, which I now make for my clients. And I listened to that meditation blueprint all about the life I believed I wanted to have. And I replayed it over and over every single night before I went to bed, programming my mind with that vision, looking at my vision boards every day. I had a vision board on my refrigerator, and I love vision boards on the refrigerator because you can move them with magnets. They're not taped down or glued down. So I highly recommend vision board on the refrigerator. And lo and behold, I live that vision now. That vision came true from focusing on it, from programming my mind with it, from talking about it, thinking about it, visualizing it. But that's not the end of the states of consciousness. There's another one. And that's the one I am moving into now. And it doesn't mean the other states of consciousness are obsolete. We're just trying to get to one. No, we do want to, sometimes we want to focus and set a goal and take a step. That's the my will. We still want to be able to do that. We still want to be able to co-create. But there is another level. And with this one, it is a big game changer. And even if you know how to manifest, this may be new. Perhaps. And this is the state we call thy will. And I'm sure we've all heard that. Let me surrender to thy will. Make me an instrument of thy peace. Make me an instrument of thy love. And this is when we start to figure out, wow, I did manifest my dream life. I am living my dream life. And you know what? There's still some stuff to deal with. And by having all this stuff, as my clients taught me, there's a lot to deal with. There's different kinds of stressors when you're living your dream life and you're living a big, abundant life. And so I naturally was called to and moved into and have teachers helping me with this state, which is now that I know I can manifest, now that I know how powerful I am, I want to use that power in the way that is of service, the highest service for all. And I don't know what that is necessarily. I can know what I think it is, but then it's coming from my will. If I open my heart to a bigger vision than I could even imagine, and that doesn't mean more complicated, it could actually mean more simple, then I open my heart to being that divine instrument. And that's part of my affirmations every single day. Make me an instrument of thy peace. Make me an instrument of thy love. Help me be of service in ways that I may not know I'm capable of being of service. And I felt called to put all my vision boards up in the attic. I still love them, but I created a lot of what's on those vision boards. And I felt like a space was opening for more that I couldn't yet fathom. So I put them all in the attic. I have no vision boards currently. And I meditate every day, twice a day. And I just leave my heart open for that deeper guidance, for thy will. And you don't have to be religious for these states of consciousness. These are really these states of my and thy will and thy will. This is tapping into your super consciousness, the super consciousness.